The Trump administration seems to be on the wrong side of the fight against the abortion pill. A new report has just revealed how much death and injury the abortion pill is really causing. The FDA has lied to us. And also, Planned Parenthood is lying to us about how they are using our taxpayer dollars. Live Action has a new investigation out with chilling details of what is really going on there. We've got Abby Johnson, pro-life activist, former Planned Parenthood employee, here to also talk about what is going on in the state of Texas when it comes to abortion legislation. We've got all of this and more on today's episode of Relatable. It's brought to you by our friends at Good Ranchers. Go to goodranchers.com, code Allie. That's goodranchers.com, code Allie. Hey guys, welcome to Relatable. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Before we get into our conversation with Abby Johnson about some legislative news that's going on in Texas, I want to tell you what's happening on the federal level when it comes to abortion. Before we get into all that, I just want to remind you, we've got Share the Arrows coming up October 11th, Dallas, Texas. It is brought to you by our friends at Carly Jean Los Angeles. Y'all, it's going to be so incredible. This episode today, we're going to talk about a lot that's going on in culture and politics that is really dark. We need light. We need courage. We need women who are willing to stand up for what is good and right and true, raise a respectful ruckus for the things that matter. If you want to be equipped, if you want to be encouraged, if you want to worship and be friends with like-minded people, I don't know a better place for you, seriously, than Share the Arrows. So make sure you go to sharethearrows.com to get your tickets today. That's sharethearrows.com. Okay, this is according to Politico. The DOJ has asked a federal court to toss the abortion pill lawsuit. So the Trump administration is defending FDA regulations that allow the abortion pill mifepristone to be accessed online or by mail. Yikes. Arguing that the 3 states suing over these expanded access rules lack legal standing and therefore the case should be dismissed by the federal court in Texas. So this is Idaho, Kansas, and Missouri. They've challenged the FDA's 2016 action allowing the pills to be used up to 10 weeks of pregnancy rather than the previous 7. The DOJ is arguing that this is outside the statute of limitations. What a battle for the Trump administration to fight, and for Pam Bondi under the Trump administration to fight, to basically try to ensure, and if anyone from the administration wants to come on and clarify this, I am seriously happy to have them on. And I always want to try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But it seems to me that they are trying to ensure access to the abortion pill online and by mail up to 10 weeks. It sure seems like that. I don't know how else to interpret this action. The states also argue that FDA rules allowing the pills, so those 3 states that I mentioned, those pro-life states, allowing the pills to be mailed across state lines violate laws in Idaho, Kansas, and Missouri. Now, I will say, I know I called them pro-life states. Kansas has some issues there. Banning the use of abortion pills in most circumstances. The mere fact that someone might violate state law does not by itself injure the government. That's what they argue. But the DOJ argued their claims have no connection to the Northern District of Texas. And I guess that's where this is being, this is where that's being adjudicated. So they're saying that the DOJ is saying this shouldn't even happen. Kansas's and Missouri's challenge and Idaho's, they are trying to rely on an incorrect legal argument in unrelated briefing to argue for new restrictions on the drugs and accusing them of gamesmanship. The case was filed in the Northern District of Texas, though, the states say, because the states likely chose the venue for strategic reasons. Because they knew that the court would probably be more favorable to them. However, the Department of Justice argued that the case lacks a substantive connection to this district. And so this is just outside of the jurisdiction. They don't want this to happen. And so it sure seems like the Trump administration wants to, no matter what, make sure that the abortion pill is accessed. And this goes along with what both Vance and Trump said during the campaign. But this is extremely dangerous. The abortion pill is extremely dangerous for women, especially when you can get it by mail, especially when you can order it online. And there is no requirement that you see a doctor that can verify actually how far along you are. What if you think you're 8 weeks, but you're really 18 weeks? Well, you were probably, as a woman taking this pill, not only going to kill your child, but you yourself will likely die. And so I don't want to hear it from anyone that you are pro-abortion or pro-access to mifepristone and the abortion pill because you care about women. No, you don't. The abortion pill is really bad for women. There's a new study that has just been released at the end of April that shows that the abortion pill is much more dangerous than the FDA claims. This is a study from the Foundation for the Restoration for America that says that roughly 11.2% of over 150,000 women experienced a, quote, serious adverse event after taking the chemical abortion pill mifepristone. These serious adverse events can include hemorrhaging, needing a blood transfusion, an emergency room visit, and even deadly conditions like sepsis. Remember, they are not taking these pills in an abortion clinic. They're not taking them in the hospital. They're taking them in their bathroom. Okay? No medical supervision whatsoever. The rate of serious adverse effects shown in this research is about 22 times higher than what the FDA put on its label for the brand name drug Mifeprex in 2023. They previously cited clinical studies that showed less than 0.5% of women suffered serious adverse reactions, but of course, that is not true, as this organization has found. And I really hope, maybe I'm missing something with the Trump administration, but I really hope they're focused on that. Like, I really hope that the HHS under RFK Jr. really cares about that, because he said that he really cares about corruption in the CDC and the FDA. This seems like an example of corruption. So I really hope that something is being done about that, and that maybe the DOJ has another strategy for fighting this, because if you care about states' rights and if you care about life inside the womb, the way this administration says that they do, then it seems like there should be protections against accessing the birth control pill in a state where abortion is restricted. Just seems obvious to me. We'll get more into this in just a second. Let me pause, tell you about our first sponsor. It's Carly Jean Los Angeles. Y'all know how much I love CJLA. I am wearing my CJLA jean jacket. It is basically now the only jean jacket that I wear. I have several, but this one is my most comfortable, and that is true of all of my CJLA clothes. I love my jeans especially. They just fit so well without being, they're not stiff and they're not too stretchy. They really are just like a perfect balance, and I haven't been able to find many other jeans like that. Everything is so classy, so classic, so well made. You can wear it for years in any stage of life, whether you're pregnant or postpartum, or neither of those. It really does look good, and they just transcend all of the ups and downs of trends because of the beautiful classic style that all CJLA clothes are in. And they have a new athletic line, so you should check that out if you're looking for some good athletic gear. Carly and her family are awesome. They are the real deal. They are Christians. They love America. They have our values, and so it's just a win all around when you shop at CJLA. Go to carlyjeanlosangeles.com. Use code Allie B for 20% off your order. That's code Allie B for 20% off your order at carlyjeanlosangeles.com. So the researcher in this study, and this is according to Daily Wire, who reported on this study, said the drastic difference between the disclosed risk and the actual risk to patients undermines informed consent. Additionally, the research only analyzed data from insurance claims for government insurance like Medicare and Medicaid between 2017 and 2023. So the total number of women who suffered these serious complications is likely even higher than that. Okay, so that was the restriction. And we have that big of a number? Thousands and thousands of women who had serious adverse outcomes from taking the abortion pill, only in those that are using Medicare and Medicaid. Wow. Medication abortions are made up 63% of all abortions in 2023. Wow. Up from 31% in 2014, according to the Pro-Abortion Guttmacher Institute. And so that is a result of states putting restrictions on abortions. Now, it is not wrong to put restrictions on abortions. We should be restricting abortions. But when we put restrictions on abortions, right now, you are restricting the abortionist. There's no law that I know of that restricts the woman from buying the abortion pills. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but as we will talk about with Abby, that is like a huge loophole, and image bearers of God are dying because of that. Because our law isn't protecting the true rights of all unborn children. When the majority of abortions are happening by the abortion pill, we have a big problem in our pro-life law. Doug Trow, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, maybe Tro, founder of the Foundation of the Restoration for America, that commissioned the study, said this bombshell report is further evidence that our government uses phony data, he's talking about the FDA, and politicized science to lie to its people. In this case, those lies further political ideologies rather than the health, safety, and well-being of women and children. He went on to say, if you had any other drug that was kind of similar in terms of the magnitude of what this thing does, anywhere north of 2%, and they'd shut it down. He's absolutely right about that. I mean, they tell you, for example, if you have a VBAC, a vaginal birth after cesarean, like I do, there is a 1% chance, even less than a 1% chance, that you will have something terrible happen, which is called a uterine rupture. And usually the mom and the baby are okay, but it is very serious. It's an emergency. You have to have an emergency C-section and all of that. Most doctors won't perform VBACs. I had one after 2 C-sections and it went great. A lot of doctors, because of that tiny risk of having a uterine rupture after you have a cesarean, they will not allow you to have a VBAC. And so that's how conservative doctors in the medical world typically are. And yet we've got an abortion pill that women are taking, not under medical supervision, where 11% of these women are having a serious adverse effect. And we're like, yeah, it's liberation. It's empowerment for women. I mean, that is insane. It does prove that this is just absolutely ideological, that this is not about women. And in fact, there's about a 100% death rate with the abortion pill. People don't tell you that. People say it's safe and effective. Yeah, it's effective at killing a person. Like, what other medication do we call effective when it has almost a 100% kill rate? Only when it comes to so-called abortion medicine do we call success killing one of the patients. All right, we've got more on the abortion conversation before we talk to Abby in just a second, but let me pause, tell you about my second sponsor, and it is Cozy Earth. Y'all, I love Cozy Earth so much. I love my pajamas. I just got some new pajamas from Cozy Earth. I love them. I love my loungewear from there. They make awesome gifts. Their sheets, their towels are amazing. I only use my Cozy Earth towels because they are so good. This is such luxurious stuff for a really good price, especially when you use my code. If you use my code relatable at cozyearth.com, you get 40% all of their items, their best-selling sheets, towels, pajamas, more. If you like to be comfy, I like to be comfy. Then you should be getting all of your comfy stuff from Cozy Earth. Go to cozyearth.com, use code relatable for that discount. That's cozyearth.com, code relatable. Planned Parenthood, y'all. It's not just abortion. It's not just an abortion problem. It's also that they are the biggest supplier of cross-sex hormones for minors. What an evil entity. Like, imagine defending Planned Parenthood. How much destruction have they wrought over the decades in killing the bodies of unborn children? And then if they allow a baby to live, they are going to butcher their bodies by giving a child a minor cross-sex hormones. And our friends at Live Action, Lila Rose, they have just broken the news. They've revealed this report that Planned Parenthood is prescribing cross-sex hormones for minors using same-day prescriptions via virtual appointments. So it's not even that they're seeing these kids. Virtual appointments, the kid is like, yeah, I need testosterone. They told our 16-year-old, they did like an undercover phone call, 16-year-old female investigator, she could receive testosterone quickly, easily, and with little screening. So this is according to Fox News, is reporting on Planned Parenthood's Planned Parenthood's story about, or live action story of this. Live action is now calling on Congress to defund Planned Parenthood of hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer funding. Of course, live action has been calling for that for a long time. Planned Parenthood assured the investigator that she could choose to meet with a provider virtually and have access to cross-sex hormones as quickly as the same day, despite the person posing as a minor, saying that they had just begun considering changing her sex. Facilities in Minnesota and Oregon stated they could schedule the minor within days or the same day. 5 facilities stated that no prior therapy, mental health clearance, or prior documentation was needed for her to obtain cross-sex hormones. In addition to being the country's largest abortion business, Planned Parenthood, Fox News says, is one of the leading distributors of cross-sex hormones. So good job, Lila Rose. She says this is a chilling reality. Planned Parenthood is fast-tracking vulnerable children into irreversible hormone treatments with almost no medical oversight. And guys, guess what? Our tax dollars are funding this. Like, that's part of this big scandal, that your tax dollars are paying for Planned Parenthood to give cross-sex hormones to children and to butcher the bodies of children, by the way. That is a huge deal. And so thank you to Lila Rose for your clarion call to defund Planned Parenthood, for the investigative work that Live Action is consistently doing, and for what every pro-lifer is doing to sound the alarm about the abortion pill, to raise a respectful ruckus, even when it comes to the Trump administration making the absolutely wrong move to continue to make it easy to access the abortion pill. We have to speak up no matter who is in charge. And that is what Abby Johnson is trying to do when it comes to the state of Texas, her home state, and what is going on in the legislature there. She argues that there has to be accountability for the woman who is purposely and knowingly killing the child inside the womb, if we truly believe that babies inside the womb are people. If they're made in the image of God, then they deserve the same legal protections that you and I do. That's what she is arguing for and trying to get to be represented in state law in the state of Texas. And so we've got Abby coming up right now. Without further ado, here she is. Abby, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. Okay, tell us what is going on with this legislation specifically in Texas.
Yeah, so it's been interesting because we have seen the same thing happening in several states. So it's happened in Texas, it's happening in Georgia, it happened in North Dakota. So, but specifically in Texas, there was a bill filed by Representative Brent Money. It is House Bill 2197. It is a bill that would treat abortion as murder, which is what the pro-life movement has said for over 50 years, that abortion is murder. And so if it is murder, then our belief is that it should be treated as murder under the law. And so this is what we call an equal protection bill, that the preborn child would be given the same protections as a child would be given after they were born. And so that's what this bill did. So essentially it criminalizes the act of abortion. So anyone, whether it is a parent, a boyfriend, a spouse, or the mother herself, if they act in a way that causes the death of a preborn child, then they can be found guilty of murder or whatever the court charges them with. So makes sense to me. I would say it makes sense to the majority of the pro-life movement, makes sense to the majority of the conservative movement. But it is currently being blocked, and it's being blocked in all states. Now, these are considered conservative states: Georgia, North Dakota, Texas, all conservative states. You would think, when I say this, a lot of people are like, oh, well, yeah, those pro-choicers, they try to block our bills. But it's actually not. In all 3 of these states, it is not pro-choicers blocking the bill. It is pro-life groups that are actually blocking the bill. So HB 2197 in Texas got put into the state jurisprudence committee, which was what we thought the very best committee for it to be put in. It's a conservative committee, and it's headed by Representative John Smithy, who ran on a pro-life platform and was endorsed by all of the pro-life legislative groups in the state of Texas. So we thought, great, this is going to be a slam dunk. It's going to be heard in committee. It's going to be voted out of committee. It's going to make it to the House floor. At the very last minute, the 11th hour, many of us were scheduled to testify in favor of the bill. I was invited testimony for the bill. And in the 11th hour, John Smithy pulled the bill from the testimony, said, you're not going to be able, this is not going to be heard in committee, pulled it from committee. And now it's just sitting there, and within a week, the bill will die, and it will never make it to the House floor for consideration, and will never make it to a vote. And that happened because one of the largest pro-life groups in the state, Texas Alliance for Life, which is supposedly a pro-life group, demanded and put pressure on John Smithy and said, you better pull this bill. This bill does not need to be heard in committee. John Smithy called our Speaker of the House, and said, what should I do? The Speaker of the House said, pull it. So he pulled the bill, and the bill that would actually make abortion murder in the state of Texas is now going to die because of a pro-life group in our state.
Quick pause to tell you about America's only pro-life diaper company. So we are talking about the importance of fighting for those little babies inside the womb. But it's not just our vote. It's not just our voices. It's also how we spend our money. Unfortunately, a lot of the diaper companies, if not all of the other diaper companies out there, fund the abortion cause. They fund Democrat politicians who are also helping the abortion cause. But if you want to make sure that you are aligned with a pro-life diaper company, then you need to go to everylife.com, make your order of diapers today. We only use EveryLife diapers in our home. They work really well. They last through the night. You don't have to worry about leaks or anything like that. Really clean materials too. And I just love knowing that as I am using and buying these wipes and diapers, that I am also supporting the pro-life cause, because they are donating these Buy for a Cause bundles to these moms at pregnancy centers across the country. They also support every employee that they have that is adopting, that is having a baby. And they also have a campaign going on right now. They're praying for more babies in 2025. So join me, join some other couples that we are praying for you as you are trying to have a baby. We are praying for more Christian moms and dads to have babies this year. Go to everylife.com, make your order today. Use code Allie10 and you'll get 10% off. Everylife.com, code Allie10. So let me play devil's advocate, because there could be people out there saying, okay, what would the motivation be behind something like that? If this is truly a pro-life group, or if these are pro-life legislators, these pro-life legislators and Texas Alliance for Life would probably say, look, we are trying to save as many people as possible, and we are afraid that a bill that would punish the woman for having an abortion would actually hurt our cause more than help our cause. And we think that a bill that stops abortion after 6 weeks, that is ultimately going to save more babies than a piece of legislation like this, which is going to cause a whole firestorm nationally and is going to be used against Republicans in every future election, so that Democrats, the true baby murderers, will win. And then, of course, we've got radical pro-abortion legislation in that hypothetical scenario, and more babies will die because of that. So I'm guessing a charitable reading of their strategy would be that that's what they're thinking. And so Is that accurate if you know what they're thinking? And what would your response be to that?
So actually, that's not their thinking. So right now in the state of Texas, we have the Human Life Protection Act, which bans abortion in the state of Texas. So right now in the state of Texas, it is technically illegal to get an abortion in the state of Texas. However, there's no penalty. So I mean, you can get an abortion in the state of Texas without fear of being prosecuted. So it would be akin to having a law that says you can go and murder your neighbor if they're getting on your nerves, and there will be no penalty. You can go and drink and drive and get in a car accident, and there will be no penalty for it. You can break into someone's house, steal everything in their home, and there will be no penalty. The purpose of the law is twofold. It is to teach, it is to be an educator, and it is also to be a deterrent of poor behavior. And so right now, we have a law that teaches people that abortion is bad, but we have no deterrent. So in the state of Texas right now, we have the Human Life Protection Act, which says abortions are illegal. However, we have seen the abortion rate increase in the state of Texas, and we have seen the abortion rate increase across the country since Roe has been overturned. So, what that tells us is that putting words on a piece of paper and saying abortion's illegal isn't actually doing anything. It is only enraging the pro-abortion groups, but there's no teeth to it.
So is there a
So
penalty
I
though?
am
There's
I
no
am a
penalty for the
woman
woman.
who
Is
has,
there a penalty for the doctor though who is providing the abortion in the state of Texas?
yeah, so there is supposed to be a penalty for the doctor. However, 64% of women are now aborting at home. So they are
The
self-aborting,
abortion pill?
and that does not require a doctor. These women are getting pills overseas. So they're getting them from Belgium, Canada, Mexico, China, India, France. They're getting them overseas. So the majority of pills coming in are not coming in from doctors. They're not being prescribed from doctors. They're coming in internationally. These are unregulated, unrestricted pills. So the women are making the decisions. The women are self-aborting. The women are taking the pills. The women are flushing their babies down the toilet. So, what then? When you don't have a doctor involved, then who's punished for the abortion? And the goal here, my goal is actually not to put women in prison. I don't want women in prison. That's never the goal. The goal is that women will see a bill like this. They will know that there could possibly be a penalty, and that they would say, that's not worth it. That risk is not worth it. And I am a woman who has had two abortions. I am a woman who worked in the abortion industry for 8 years. I helped to facilitate over 22,000 abortions during my time with Planned Parenthood. And I can assuredly say that if I would have known that there was a penalty, there was a possible penalty for having an abortion, I would have never had my first abortion.
Hmm.
That would have never been something that I would have considered. And I'm pretty sure that if I would have known that an abortion was not on the table for me, I probably wouldn't have been participating in any sort of risky sexual behavior, because I would have known that option, that little card for me, like get rid of your pregnancy for free,
Right.
was not on the table for me. And if I wouldn't have had my first abortion, I wouldn't have ever gone to work at Planned Parenthood. I wouldn't have gone on to have my second abortion. And then I wouldn't have the lives of 22,000 babies on my conscience for the rest of my earthly life.
Hmm.
And to me, when people say, this isn't compassionate for women, you know, have some sort of penalty for murder. This isn't compassionate. To me, I think that's a complete lie. I think that's a complete farce. I think helping women understand that there could be a penalty, that there is a consequence for your action. And then that helping them understand that abortion is not the right decision for them and them choosing life over death. I think that's the most compassionate thing that we can do for them because it's saving them from a life of regret.
Hmm. And we do understand this when it comes to murder outside of the womb. All of us walking around are hoping that the person that would be inclined to murder would, at the very least, be so scared of going to jail and scared of having to endure the death penalty that they won't murder us. Like, the law is a protector of would-be victims, but as you said, it's also a protector of people who need the law to be their only inhibition before committing some kind of murder. Now, most of us are not walking around thinking, I'm not going to murder that person only because I don't want to go to jail. Like, there are other barriers in place. But for some people, the law is the only thing standing between them and making that horrible choice to assault the rights of someone else. And so it sounds like what you're saying is, for all of these babies and for a lot of these women, the law is the only thing to protect them. And you're saying a law that just says you can't have an abortion isn't enough. A law has to carry some weight to it. There has to be a penalty. And I've heard other abolitionists say that if we really believe that a human is a human, no matter how small, if we really believe that these little people are made in the image of God, then why wouldn't it be the same penalty to murder them as it would be to murder, say, like the Nebraska woman who just slit the throat of her poor newborn after it was born? She's facing decades in prison. And yet, if she had asked an abortionist to do that just moments before, not in the state of Nebraska, but elsewhere, then, well, actually, really anywhere, she wouldn't have gone to prison for it. She wouldn't be in trouble for it. She would have faced no penalty for it. That really doesn't make any sense. That's basically pro-choice logic to say, well, the baby inside the womb is somehow different and less valuable than the baby outside of the womb.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that it's a complete mind shift in the pro-life movement, right? Like, I was talking to a good friend of mine who's a pro-life leader, and she's kind of on the fence about this, right? Because for all of these years, we have considered women to be a victim of abortion. And I mean, I can tell you, I regularly go out to abortion clinics and pray and, try to sidewalk counsel these women going in to have abortions. Um, I can tell you right now, the women that are going in to have abortions today, they are different than the women who I saw even 15, 20 years ago when I worked at Planned Parenthood. The women today are more calloused. They know exactly what they're doing. Um, they will use the word murder when they're talking about abortion.
Hmm.
We are not living in a generation where women are unaware that they're pregnant with a baby. 60% of women who have abortions have already delivered a child. They are mothers. They have children at home. We all have smartphones. We all have phones that, where information is available to us at the touch of a button. We can all look online and find out, what my baby looks like at 12 weeks along. We can all find out, information. This isn't the Encyclopedia Britannica generation like I was. Information is available. And I do think that back probably in the 70s and 80s, and maybe even the early 90s, there were women that had abortions who, really were victims. They really were victims of, a lack of education. We didn't have the medical technology that we do now. But now we're literally performing surgeries on children in the womb to fix various issues. We know exactly what we're doing whenever we're performing surgery on babies, whenever we're having abortions. We know that now. So I don't think that we can claim that that women are victims of a lack of education. They know. And when I go out to the sidewalk and I'm pleading with these women to not have an abortion, they are yelling back at me, I'm smiling, laughing. I can't wait to go in and murder this kid. They're flipping me off. They're telling me, this is my sixth abortion. Even when I worked at the clinic, there were women that had had 12, 15, 16
Mm.
abortions. We're just living in a different time. And this is entirely biblical, that people's hearts would grow cold, that they would become calloused, that, women would be turned against their children. This is what we should expect. This is, this is sort of prophetic from scripture, but we can't just allow people to get away with murdering their children. And by the way, in the state of Texas, if you kill a pregnant woman, you are charged with double homicide. But it's completely inconsistent in the law because there's a carve out in Texas law for mothers. So I can't drink and drive and kill a pregnant woman, but a mother can kill her own child and not be charged with homicide.
Mm.
And that is completely inconsistent in the law. And that's what this bill is trying to rectify. It's trying to just make something consistent. It's trying to make the act of murder consistent, and
Yeah.
it should be.
Last sponsor for the day is Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's Christian conservative wireless provider. They are awesome. They make switching really easy. You won't have to compromise on your service at all, but you'll just have another way to vote with your dollar to support a company that supports the First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, our first responders, our veterans. Their customer service team is all based in the US. That's really refreshing. And they're the ones that can make switching and activation super simple. Plus, right now, they have a buyout program that covers up to $500 per device. So you can keep your number and keep your phone, and it just makes switching really easy. You can go to patriotmobile.com/Allie. You'll get a free month of service when you use my code Allie. patriotmobile.com/Allie, code Allie. You know what she said about the callousness of the hearts. I was actually just talking to a pregnancy center director the other day, and I asked her, because she's been the director of this pregnancy center for 20 years, or actually, no, 13 years, 20 years she's been a part of the movement. But I said, what has changed over the years? And that's the first thing she said. She said, their hearts are harder than they used to be. The women who walk in, they know more, and they're more calloused, and those who are abortion minded are more resolved than they used to be. Tell people, if they are incensed about this and they want to learn more about this, they want to get involved in their state, especially the Republican led states. What do they do? Where do they go first?
So if you are in Texas, I would encourage you to contact John Smithy's office. We do still have a week that this bill is sitting in his committee, just stagnant. And really anybody can call his office, whether you're in Texas or not. Anybody can call John Smithy's office and demand that he give this bill a hearing. You don't get into politics, you shouldn't anyway, get into politics just to pass your friends' bills. Bills deserve a hearing, and they deserve to go to the floor for a vote. And he is, a lot of legislators, they try to put bills forward, based on demands and based on endorsements. So what Texas Alliance for Life, I'm sure, did was call John Smithy's office and say, if you don't pull this bill, you're going to lose our endorsement. And that is a bullying technique. It's wrong. Legislators should be able to bring bills forward and vote based on their conscience, not based on, donations that are going to come in and based on endorsements. And we have a terrible Speaker of the House in the state of Texas. So I would say, call John Smithy's office, email his office, demand that he give this bill a hearing. I would also say, read the bill. Don't believe the rhetoric. Texas Alliance for Life is out there saying that this bill is seeking the death penalty for women. This bill is not seeking anything for women. This bill is simply trying to lay out consistency for murder. That's it. If we believe abortion is murder, then we should act like it. No one is trying to give women the death penalty for having an abortion. We're trying to prevent death. We're not trying to seek death for anyone. And so I would say, look at the bill itself. If you have questions, certainly you can email me at abbyj.com. I can help walk you through it. The Abortion Abolition Foundation can also help provide some clarity on this if you need some further clarity. But in your state, I would say that, you need to find legislative groups that you can trust. You will be surprised at how many pro-life organizations stand against equal protection of the unborn. And so, I can't control where my federal dollars go, unfortunately, but I can control where my charitable giving goes. And so, as you're giving to different pro-life organizations, I would really encourage you to ask the question, does your organization stand against equal protection laws? And if they do, I think that is something that you really need to consider as you're tithing and as you're giving funds.
Well, thank you so much, Abby. I appreciate you raising awareness about this.
Yes, thank you, Allie Beth.